Few minutes to spend inside Star Wars Launch Bay, and we hope that the last few minutes are just as exciting for you as they have been for us to bring these opportunities to you. And if you missed anything this morning because of late arrivals, we want you to know that you can feel free to go back to Launch Bay, re-experience it, or step into it for the very first time. You've got all day. And as you know, our guests are now starting to arrive for the day, and it'll be a different opportunity and a different experience going in and seeing it from a guest's perspective with the whole Launch Bay area full of our guests. We wanted you to have that special time this morning just to yourselves so that you could soak in everything at your leisure. So we've got a lot more to cover today. We covered Launch Bay, but new Star Wars experiences as well as reimagined elements of our popular Star Wars attractions all debuted this week, just ahead of the December 18th premiere of the movie that we've all been waiting for, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Launch Bay, later on, you'll also experience Star Wars: Path of the Jedi, which is a cinematic overview of the Star Wars saga. So anyone who's not familiar with Star Wars, after you experience that, you will be. And it's a fantastic film. We've also have cool new enhancements to Star Tours. If you've ever ridden Star Tours, it's one of my favorite attractions, but Star Tours, the adventures continue. Updated and reflecting new scenes from the movie. You've probably seen the First Order stormtroopers patrolling the area this morning. More opportunities to have close-up interactions with our stormtroopers. And then, of course, Star Wars-inspired food and beverage that we'll be sharing with you later this morning as well. So a full morning of activities. And then there's an additional element. In case you have not heard, we are going to also debut on December 18th, the day that the movie comes out, a new fireworks show at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And it's called Symphony in the Stars, a Galactic Spectacular. And it's going to feature some of the musical highlights from throughout the Star Wars saga. We're really excited about that and hope you get to come back and experience Star Wars at night, Disney's Hollywood Studios style. Couple of ground rules before we jump into our Q&A. Lots of great content to cover, as I've already shared. Unfortunately, we don't have a panelist from the movie studio, so we won't be talking about the movie because we really don't have an expert here to share that aspect with you. And although we are so excited about the new Star Wars themed land that's coming, it's still a bit of a ways off. I started to say it in a galaxy far, far away, but it'll be here before you know it. However, we're going to focus today on the Star Wars experiences that will fill the rest of your morning. And to do that, I want to introduce a panel of great cast members. There are hundreds of cast members who've been working behind the scenes to make all of this come to life for our guests. And these four folks represent the hundreds of cast members who've been dedicating heart and soul to our new Star Wars experiences. Brent Strong is Creative Director, Walt Disney Imagineering.
Good morning.
Tony Giordano, Show Director, Walt Disney Parks and Resorts Creative Entertainment.
Hello.
Christine Wiseman, some of you've met Christine already. She's Executive Chef, Food and Beverage for Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Morning and welcome.
Stephen Miller represents our merchandise division.
Welcome, glad you're here.
So I want to kick it off by asking who on this panel is a Star Wars fan? Okay, so it's unanimous. Any stories to tell? Competition on how much of a fan you truly are.
Movie came out in '77, which made me 1 year old. So I don't recall seeing it my first time, but Miko was big, the disco Star Wars song on the radio, and apparently every time R2-D2 popped up on that song, I would go, R2-D2. So that was one of my first words, I guess. Had R2-D2 birthday cake when I was a kid, and I had him as ring bearer at my wedding. So I'm a big fan. I love the films, and I do have a memory of being on the subway or the tube in London going to see Empire Strikes Back my first time and having the book that you could buy at the theaters and finding out, spoiler alert, that Darth Vader was Luke's father was like the biggest moment of my life.
I had a birthday cake too. I remember my parents taking me to see it. I was probably 2. I still remember Tatooine, the land speeder scene on that, and I had a Star Wars birthday parties. I dressed as a Jawa one year for Halloween. I had all the toys. I remember that. A lot of shopping for toys. In fact, all those toys I kept. My son now actually plays with them. And it's exciting. I can't believe I'm sitting up here talking about Star Wars, something that I grew up with. I mean, the radio drama on NPR, I think it was, and I'm watching the films again and again. It's something that's been a part of my life for forever.
Mine is a little different. So many years ago, my oldest daughter, had a swim class, and I was playing in the side of the pool with some other children. They were 4 and 5 years old. So I started talking to them, and the youngest boy says, "Where are you from?" I said, "Why are you asking?" I said, "You talk so funny. You talk like Jar Jar Binks." I had no idea at that time who Jar Jar Binks was. I had to drive home to my husband and my daughter. They were all cracking up. And that's showing me the movie, and now I know who Jar Jar Binks is, and now I am a Star Wars fan. So I do talk like Jar Jar Binks.
You mentioned the toys. That's sort of one of my introductions as well. Growing up, Star Wars used to air every Christmas morning as sort of a movie marathon. And so for me, Star Wars was Christmas morning, right? And I would be unwrapping my action figures and playing with the starships and getting to work on this, and especially opening at this time of year. It's like the toys are life-size now.
Very cool. So we're going to spend a few minutes chatting with these guys, and then I'm going to open it up to the floor for you guys to ask questions as well. And afterward, stay seated because we've got the fantastic Path of the Jedi film that will be shown here in the theater. So lots more to happen in the next few minutes. So Brent, I'm going to kick it off with you. But first of all, I actually have a question about your title. Creative Director, Walt Disney Imagineering. What does that mean?
Absolutely. So as a creative director at Walt Disney Imagineering, one of the things that we do is sort of see the vision through from day one through opening day. So I got to be a part of the amazing team of Imagineers who sort of concepted and brainstormed what are all the different ways that our fans might want to celebrate Star Wars here in the park, and sort of creating that overall menu of experiences that you guys are all getting to sample today, and then going all the way through partnering with Lucasfilm, sort of working with all the different divisions like Disney Interactive to bring these experiences to life. And then my favorite part is actually opening it up to guests and letting everybody see these brand new experiences.
Our media guests have had a chance to experience Launch Bay. What do you want the guests who are going to be experiencing it every day from now on to get out of it?
To me, Star Wars Launch Bay is all about finding your inner fan, finding that little corner of the Star Wars galaxy that you love. And whether it's the TV shows or the movies, the behind-the-scenes stories, the characters, the starships, the video games, we have a little bit of something for everybody. And I think that, even if you haven't been a Star Wars fan before, this is sort of the perfect place to find your fandom. And if you are a Star Wars fan, this is sort of that nexus where you can all come together and celebrate year-round.
Very cool. So Tony, for you, later this morning we're going to join guests who will be experiencing, some will actually get to participate in Jedi training Trials of the Temple, and that's one of the cool things I like about it because you actually get to have a chance to get on stage and see kids become Jedis before our very eyes. How has the show changed and evolved? What are we going to see that's new?
Well, first of all, it's a brand new set, brand new location. It's a beautiful vision of a hidden Jedi, ancient Jedi temple. And like you said, kids get to be a Jedi, and they're going to face their fears. And one thing that I really love about this show is it's cool to have a lightsaber and fight these villains, but the idea that you are facing your fear and standing up to your fear is amazing to me because out of all the shows in the parks, there's some moments where guests get to interact, but the kids are the heroes of the show. And because of the new show in the Jedi Temple, anything can come out of that temple. So we have Darth Vader, we have the Seventh Sister from Star Wars Rebels on Disney XD. And we also have a surprise villain at the end. I don't want to spoil it for you all, but it's just amazing that we can take all this stuff and, like you said, make it real and then say, hey, kids, participate and conquer your fears as well as these iconic villains. So very proud to be a part of it, and I can't wait for you all to see the new rendition of the show.
And Christine, your storytelling involves everything from caviar to cupcakes, but in this instance, you got to play with Star Wars. Tell us about how Star Wars inspired these delectable treats and eats that we'll possibly experience later this morning.
Yes, we have the fun stuff being in food and beverage. Of course, we were able to create all these galactic food offerings inspired by the dark and the light side. So the opportunity to create some new menu offerings with the team was incredible. So we had some of you saw already some of our new cupcakes this morning, right? So the Darth Vader cupcake, the peanut butter and chocolate one is our classic and our guest favorites. We created some new ones, buttercream and lemon, the droid cupcake, and also our kasha, which our Chewbacca cupcake with German chocolate cake and coconut. And when you go later on to Backlot, we also created a Royal Guard burger, which is a pumpernickel bun. And on the pumpernickel bun is a burger topped with barbecue brisket, and then with tomatoes and lettuce and some pepper jack cheese. Very delicious. And we also have our guest favorites again, the Darth Vader waffles and chicken with maple syrup. And yeah, it's funny, but it's really delicious because you have the sweet and the barbecue sauce. And that's really nice. We also have a panna cotta, blue milk panna cotta over there. And you mentioned a little bit before, online now you can book as of the January 5th our galactic dessert party, starting January 5th.
Fantastic. And thank you, Christine. I think I've just gained about 10 pounds listening to that.
Good. I hope you all try it later on because it's all delicious.
Wow. And by the way, I love the way you say Chewbacca.
Thank you.
So, Stephen, now to you. You talked about playing with Star Wars toys as a kid, and you have got the dream job at Disney. My goodness. So, we've experienced Launch Bay this morning. Are there any items that are unique to Launch Bay or exclusive to Launch Bay, shall I say?
There are. I'm part of the Disney theme park merchandise division. My job, I get to play with all the toys, like you said, and it's great. We have some very talented individuals who love Star Wars as much as I do, and have created some really cool things. There's some really awesome items in Star Wars Launch Bay. I can think of some really great collectibles. I think the Medal of Yavin, that's the medal that Princess Leia awards to Luke Skywalker and Han Solo at the very end of the first film, and that's a replica medal that we have there. There's light-up umbrellas that look like lightsabers that are very unique. Lightsaber lamps. You can even design your own retail magic bands that are Star Wars themed, as well as D-Tech on demand for select phone cases too. But that's just some of the items we developed. Then there's other things that you can take home with you, whether it be very unique costumes like Darth Vader's costume, a stormtrooper, some really awesome artwork that is just gorgeous. And then there's also autographed items, the BB-8 Sphero remote control droid, that is also there as well. So again, you can really immerse yourself in that Star Wars saga, whether or not you're a casual fan or somebody who really, really loves it like I do.
And if you're not a guest at the park, and many of us are probably thinking about shopping lists and favorite Star Wars fans, how can they access these gifts, or how can we even at home access them to make it easier on our shopping list?
Well, using technology and this is exciting. We've launched the Shop Disney Parks mobile app, and you can download that at disneyworld.com/shop. It's a free app, and we do have several items that were created for Disney parks that you can find on that app. I can think of like the Star Wars Force Push playset. You talk about being a Jedi. You can have the Force glove, and you channel the Force, let it flow through you, and if you concentrate, you can actually push, and the First Order Stormtrooper and the TIE Fighter explode. It is the neatest thing. The little kid in me just screams every time I do that. But you can find those things via the Shop Disney Parks mobile app. Nice part, we're offering free shipping through January 2nd, so you can have it shipped right to your home for those guests that maybe aren't visiting Disney's Hollywood Studios right away.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm all about efficient shopping for the holidays.
That indeed.
So, Tony, I want to turn it to you. We talked about the fact that we are going to be launching a new fireworks show later this month on the same day that the movie premieres. So tell us a little about Symphony and the Stars. What can we expect?
You can expect lots of beautiful, sweeping John Williams music, and I think that music was made for Star Wars, for a fireworks show. So to be able to see that beautifully up in the stars with the beautiful music, and it's fireworks like only Disney can do. So I'm really excited that you all will get to see something that's really unique to what anyone can offer. I mean, we're the only ones that can have Star Wars, so come and experience it.
Great. And then, Brent, we've talked about Launch Bay. We know what guests can expect there. As you think about the overall Star Wars experiences, as a holistic experience, not just Launch Bay, but, the food, the theming of the entertainment, what does coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios now mean for a Star Wars fan?
Well, I really think, as a fan, and all of us fans, right, I think that there's never been a better time to be a Star Wars fan than right now. There's so much amazing stories on the horizon. And we wanted to make sure that there's never been a better place to be a Star Wars fan than here at Disney Parks. And I think that, the offerings that we have really sort of cater to every member of the family, right? Whether you're the kid who gets to become a Jedi, whether you're that adventure seeker who gets to board a star speeder and head to that galaxy far, far away, whether you're a fan of movie making and really want to go and explore Launch Bay, or just, someone new to the films and coming here to see Path of the Jedi and sort of brush up on Star Wars 101, right? I think that we wanted to make sure that we have that entire array, that entire diversity of experience, because there's so many ways to experience this galaxy, and this is just the beginning. It's only going to grow.
Only going to grow. How are we doing on time, guys? Time check. Do we have a few minutes? Okay. Time for to open it up to the floor for questions. Okay. So we have a few minutes to open it up to the floor. I see this gentleman here in the black shirt, and we have some microphones, cast members with roving mics to help you out.
For Tony, for the new Symphony and the Stars fireworks show, since it comes out the day Force Awakens opens, will we hear any new John Williams music in the show?
Am I allowed to say? Yes. Yeah, I think, it's going to be amazing. I mean, as you know, most Star Wars music can be consistent, but there will be some new stuff for you to hear.
Gentleman right next to him. Yes.
Excuse me. Question for Brent. With Star Tours, once the movie comes out, will we see some more new scenes in Star Tours?
Well, right now it's called Star Tours: The Adventures Continue, and indeed the adventures have, right there. You can see some new characters and a new destination already. I think that when the movie comes out, those characters and that destination are going to take on some new meaning. And of course, we're always looking at additional planets far, far away that we can go journey to.
We've got. Okay.
Hi, my question is about the Jedi training. I took my son here the first day to do it, and it was really awesome. He really loved that part of overcoming the fear. He's 7, so later that day it was funny because we had to do something that he was afraid of, like go to a thing that was high, and he was like, "Oh, I'm, overcoming my fears." But my question is, when adults will be able to do the Jedi training? I get that question all the time.
Am I allowed to dodge that question? No, that's an interesting question because obviously as an adult you want to participate, but I think there's something to be said about the reality to the children, how much it is real to them. And I think that there are going to be other experiences for adults that they will enjoy just the same, but still keep that experience for the children kind of sacred, because that's really Darth Vader, and to me it is too, obviously, but just...
And it's one of those
Yeah.
things that it was purposefully designed for children. And that is something that we did for a reason, because you get a couple of layers of storytelling in it as a result. Parents love standing back and watching their children or their nieces or nephews or friends have that experience, as Tony said, because it's so real to them. And that just makes it all the cooler. So that experience was designed for children, and we love it, and our guests love it, and
Carol, you can have
there's
them
so
come find me at the Force Push playset. You'll
There
feel
we
like
go.
a Jedi.
There we
Seriously,
go.
every time I do this
There we
all
go.
day, and it's like the most
Yeah.
amazing thing.
And I think one of the really exciting things about Star Wars Launch Bay is that adults finally can get up close and personal with Darth Vader and can meet Chewbacca and can experience these characters closer than ever before. We used to only be able to do that during Star Wars weekends, and now year-round you can come and you can meet these characters.
And your question tapped onto something, because the Star Wars experiences and the Star Wars saga all appeal to many, many generations. So from the very young to the very old, we're all touched by this saga. And so I love the fact that you asked that question, because it is a reflection of this being something that the entire family can embrace, and doesn't matter how old you are. We all want to be Jedi trained, right?
We have one more question right over here.
I'm Indigo from a Disney blog, and my question to you is, how did you get Darth Vader at the launch bay to really talk?
Well, Darth Vader has always been incredibly vocal, right? I've seen him in the movies, and he's always had a lot to say. The Force is strong here at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and so, things happen here that we've never seen before, and there's been an awakening, and now he's able to interact like we've never seen. It's really exciting.
One more question.
Chef Christine, I've been a big fan of your culinary experiences for many years.
Thank you. Taking on the challenge of coming up with Star Wars themed culinary experiences, how does that enhance, in your mind, the overall offerings that guests can have here at Walt Disney World and in Orlando in general, from a culinary perspective?
Very good question. I think, first of all, it challenged us as culinaries to not only come up with a good flavor profile in the food offerings, but also link it back to the movie. And that's where my partnership comes in. Sometimes I'm not there yet 100%. I'm not sure if you remember, for example, the hummus from the Rebel Hangar Lounge, which looked a little bit like Darth Maul. So it was a hummus which we topped with piquillo pepper, and then with a stencil we put the face of Darth Maul on there. But that wasn't good enough. We had to make sure we look at how does Maul look really, and he had bugles. So we finished it with bugles, so representing the horns. And taking that as an example, creating menu offerings, they are linked to the movie and taste good, which is very important to me. So I think that's fun part and a great question, because that's where our creativity as chefs comes out. And thank you for the partnership with the team all the time.
Thank you all. We want to remind you that we have photos, videos, and press release assets on www.news.com, so feel free to log on and get plenty of resource information there. Next, we invite you to, after the movie, we'll invite you to experience Star Tours. The adventures continue, where you'll meet new characters and journey to the iconic new world that we talked about. That will be followed by Jedi training, Trials of the Temple, and we also have some breakfast treats for you over at right outside of the Star Tours.